guys, it's JD Cakes here, Jade with JD Cakes Bakery. Today I want to do a video about something that was important to me and took me some time to kind of figure it out, but once I did, it's a pretty easy process. I want to talk about getting your cottage food license. I made my bakery a cottage food bakery in the state of Georgia. I decided to go that route because it was the most cost effective. With me doing JD Cakes as a side business with my career, I wanted to kind of get into it with the least amount of money because it's not a full-time venture for me right now. But I still want to be able to do it in my spare time, and being able to bake in the convenience of your home and do it as a business is like a great thing, rather than having to rent a commercial kitchen or open a retail spot, your own bakery. It's a win-win. There are some restrictions with it, but for me doing custom cakes, it's it's not such a bad idea. What I'll say is that you just have to do your research, and I'm just going to kind of outline some of the steps of how to go about getting your business up and going. If you want to have a cottage food business in Georgia, these are the steps that you'll need to take. It's a pretty straightforward process, and they actually are very helpful, surprisingly. When you go through the Georgia Department of Agriculture, they're the ones that give you your license, so they have contacts that work with you throughout the process, and they're just phenomenal. Whatever questions you have, concerns, like, they're an open book, and that was very helpful. So the process was, the first thing I needed to do, which is not a part of the cottage food process, but I got my LLC, my JD Cakes LLC, which can be done at the Secretary of State, Georgia's Secretary of State, which can be done online. So I got my LLC, and then, which I think is about $100 or so. So now for the cottage food process, so there's a couple steps. The first thing you have to do is fill out an application. I have the application here. It's a couple pages, but it's not that bad actually. Actually, just 2 pages. This is the application. Georgia Department of Agriculture Cottage Food Establishment License application. It just asks you, some basic things about the business, the type of products that you'll be selling. There are a specific list of products that you can make under cottage food and things that you can't make. So they try to limit any hazardous type of foods that can make someone sick. So they have a list of things here: breads, rolls, biscuits. These are things that are okay under the cottage food law. Cakes and cupcakes, pastries and cookies. And you basically have to check off everything that you think you'll ever make. Because if you don't check it off on this application and then you make it, like, you could get in trouble for that. So you want to just make sure you check off everything. Even if you may not make it, just do it anyway. There's some things on here I will never make and sell, like dry herbs and seasoning and mixtures. Nah, more of a pastry person. So that's that, the application, right? And then the next thing, so with the application, there's a couple things you have to submit. So the application is one. Then you have to have a, so this is kind of, I guess, the most complicated thing of the whole process, I feel like, which, lucky for me, when I went to Le Cordon Bleu, you had to have SurfSave. You had to take a class like SurfSave to get certified with food handling. And so I took that in Le Cordon Bleu a couple years ago, and so that certificate is still good. It doesn't expire for a while now. So since that's still active, I said, could I just use that? So I had a copy of that certificate But that's one thing. That's the next thing you have to have is like it's called a Certified Food Protection Manager certificate. So that's say there are other different ones out there. But they give you a list of the classes that are up and coming and where they're going to be. So that's helpful. You know, you can look at your schedule and figure out. And I think it's just a 1-day course. But that's something you have to do and get done. You know, the class, I mean, it's kind of a lot of work. You know, it wasn't like, oh, that's a piece of cake. Like, I don't know, maybe it was the little cordon bleu class, but that junk was like, it was a lot to remember. And, you know, temperatures you have to have food at. But the 1-day class, maybe it's not so bad. But we had to go through a lot of stuff. But anyhow, that was kind of, I think, the biggest part of the process. So once you get that certificate, that needs to be included with your application. So here's a copy of my certificate that I included. So this is my certificate. And then you need to have a notarized affidavit. And this affidavit is like just basically saying that you're a U.S. citizen and that your driver's license is what shows your proof of citizenship. So then you also need a copy of your driver's license included with your application. And then the last thing you need is a copy of your water bill. So they just want to make sure that your county is good with the water system and like you're on public water and you know you can handle the baking and stuff like that with the water system. So that's pretty much it. Once you have all those documents, I just scanned them in and emailed them off to the contact that you're supposed to send them to at the Georgia Department of Agriculture. So once she receives your application, she'll process it, and then an inspector will have to come out to your house and look at your kitchen, make sure that everything is good there. So it took about a week before the inspector contacted me, which is not bad. So the inspector actually texted me and said, hey, this is your inspector for your cottage food inspection. When can we schedule to come out and inspect your kitchen? And they have to come in pairs. So I was like, hey, come as soon as possible. So she was like, I'm going to get with my other person and see when we can come. And then they scheduled to come like within a couple days. It was like, I think Friday, and that they contacted me and they came like that Tuesday. So they come out and they just want to make sure it's clean. You don't have pets in the area. You know, there shouldn't be anything near where you're baking. You're using non-commercial equipment, so a KitchenAid mixer is fine. Nothing like commercial size. They said that you need to have your baking equipment and supplies and inventory kind of stuff away from like your personal use, your personal kitchen stuff. So I have that set aside where my cake decorating stuff and my cake stuff. So that was that, and it was very short, you know, a very short inspection. We just talked a lot of the time, and then they had me fill out like a questionnaire, just kind of understanding the rules of cottage food business and you know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And then there's some helpful kind of guidelines that they send you with your application. Like there's this kind of guideline pamphlet. It says starting a cottage food business, and this is for Georgia, and it has like, you know, the food safety directives about hand washing, you know, hair restraints, keeping things clean, preventing contamination, making sure surfaces are clean. It has contact information on here with people, what your labeling should say. When you label things in your cottage food business, you need to have your business name and address, the ingredients of the product, the weight, the allergens, and you have to have this statement on there that says it's made in a cottage food operation that is not subject to state food safety inspection. When you're doing custom cakes, you don't necessarily have to put that label on everything or on the box, you know, but you need to have that information available for your customer, and especially if they ask. So there's also, they provide you like this FAQ sheet with a lot of like really good information about having a cottage food business, and you know what you can do and what you can't do. So these FAQs are very helpful, and that's all. This really can be found online if you do a Google search, but definitely at the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And then this is the actual law, the rules of Georgia Department of Agriculture, chapter 40. These are the regulations, like the actual law that was put into place, and it's like a couple pages long, but it goes into a lot of detail about what this is, what is the cottage food law, and what you can do. And so, I mean, overall, once you kind of go through the process, it's really not that bad. It can seem overwhelming at first, which I'm sure probably the same way with like opening a restaurant or a retail bakery. You know, I'm sure it seems overwhelming at first, but once you go through it, it's probably not a big deal. So yeah, I just wanted to share my experience with opening a cottage food business and how that went. And because, you know, when I was looking into it, I found kind of like some Cake Central like reads or articles or blog posts, or you know, people talking about it, but I really didn't see a lot of resources like videos or step-by-steps of how to open a cottage food business. And that's really what I was looking for, because I didn't want to have to start from scratch to figure it out. But you know, going through it, you know, those are the steps. So you know, you don't have to get an LLC, but if you're gonna have a business, you want to have an LLC for tax purposes. So I got my LLC. The whole cottage food process with the Georgia Department of Agriculture, I would contact them to have them send you the application and whatever you know, documents are needed with that. They pretty much give you the process, like, here's the process. So, you know, you have to fill out the application. With the application, you need to submit your Certified Food Protection Manager certification, so you got to get ServSafe, a notarized affidavit, a copy of your photo ID, a copy of your water bill. Submit all of that. They will schedule you to do your inspection. They will come to your house to do the inspection. And then, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, after the inspection, like the next day or so, or the same day, they'll send you a link to pay your fee for that license. The license is only $100. So you go online, you pay for your license, and then once that goes through, next day or so, they will send you a copy of your license. They'll send you your cottage food license. So it's pretty simple, and they don't make it too difficult for you. So that's awesome. So that's it. If you have any questions, you know where to contact me. I'm JD Cakes. Have a website, Instagram, Facebook. It's my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Check out some of my videos. You want to email me? jd.cakes@yahoo.com. And I can't wait to provide more insight and more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.